So if you want to sell a guitar, what are some things that you should do to make sure that your guitar sells, and to make sure that you're not one of those annoying people that doesn't put the right things in the listing? That's what we're going to talk about today. There's a couple things I want to cover here. One is, where should you sell your guitar? Number one. And number two, what should you include in the listing? And also, what should you do as a good seller with your guitar before you let it go? First of all, let's talk about where to list it. We're going to get technical with the guitar in a minute, but let's talk about where to list it. A lot of people will just list stuff on Facebook Marketplace because it's local and it's easy, or Craigslist, right? We have all done this, and I think we've all regretted it on some level, whether we made a sale or not, because you're like dealing with, is it still available? How much is it? What's the lowest you'll take? Why does that happen? It's because you have not selected the correct audience for your guitar. Now, sometimes you do have a guitar that fits that audience. If it's a run-of-the-mill, just anything, and it's less expensive, Facebook buyers are going to be lower price buyers. So, if you've got some cheap Squire that's only going to be 150, 200 bucks or something, and you can just chuck it, and you don't really care what you get for it because it's just a guitar. Sort of like at a yard sale. Like if you would sell it at a yard sale, Facebook Marketplace is probably that place. So what we have to do is figure out a place that's going to narrow that down. eBay would be an option. Even then, you could sell on eBay with a good quality listing, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That will narrow it down some, because most people that are buying those guitars at that level will search for made in Mexico Stratocaster with chrome hardware, or white. They might search for a color, right? So they're at least searching for something that they want. So it's better than Facebook Marketplace. Even then though, if there's something specialty about your guitar, if there's a feature that really matters, and it matters to the purchaser also, or it could matter to the purchaser, or if it's a unique instrument, or like this has got some custom parts in it, so this has the Dylan Talks Tone loaded single hum pickguard in it, which that's 350 bucks or whatever, and you might not get every dollar of that back, but you're trying to get some of it back. But people have to know what it is, right, in order for you to recoup some of that money as part of that purchase price. Then somewhere that's more specialized, like Reverb. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way. Reverb didn't pay me to say this. Reverb, or any smaller groups, like more niche-y sale groups on Facebook, for example. I don't like selling stuff on Facebook, but maybe. Something like Reverb, because then you can actually niche down your buyer. The person can be looking for something very specific that you have that might be special. So you want to find an audience that wants what you have. You're not trying to sell a guitar to somebody. You're trying to find a person for your guitar. That's the way I look at it. If you can figure that out, like who's the right person for this guitar, then you're going to be much more successful, and you're going to get more for that particular guitar instead of just getting money for it. All right, so now what can we do as guitar sellers, as a responsible seller, to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly, to make sure that we find the right buyer for our instrument? A couple of things we can do ahead of time is, first of all, make sure the guitar is clean. Now I know a vintage instrument, that's a different thing. You want it to kind of look the way it's supposed to look for how old it is, etc. But this guitar right here, I want it to look brand new. I want to present it in the best condition possible. Now, if it has a scratch or if it has a nick, we'll get to how to address that in a few minutes, but present it as cleanly and polished and nice as possible. The other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through the setup and double check the guitar and make sure that it's actually good. Make sure that everything is good. And when I say that, I don't mean just like play a couple chords and just, do like a proper quality control check on the entire guitar. What I would do is I would first of all put a new set of strings on it, just invest that $5, put a new set of strings on it, and one by one go through all of the setup steps and check your setup. So let's do it right now. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to put our first finger on our first fret. We're going to put another finger, I usually use my pinky, on the first fret where the neck meets the guitar, right there. And I'm going to go about halfway in between, and I'm just going to see how much gap there is there. It's about the thickness of a business card, that's what I like. So that the truss rod is good, it doesn't need to be adjusted, everything seems fine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to fret the 3rd fret on the low E, and we're just going to make sure that we've got a little bit of gap and make sure that it's fairly consistent as we go down the strings. Fret the A, and check under this first fret right here. Make sure that our nut isn't going to be too low, and make sure that it's nice and consistent all the way down. If there is nut wear and you do have a little issue with your nut, write down specifically what string it is. Write that down. Put that on a list right now. If we have a problem with the D string and it's a little low, put that down. Write that down on a piece of paper. Any deviation from the perfect setup, document it. Next, get your ruler and check the string height. This is how you check your saddle height. Check your saddle height of all 6 of your strings. Set it up the way you would play it. Document those measurements. If it's 4/64 on the high E and 5/64 on the low E, or whatever it is, or however many millimeters if you use metric, write down each individual height of the string at the 12th or the 17th fret, whichever one you use. Document how you measured it and document what those measurements were. If you make any adjustments, you could use the final measurements, but document that. Okay, write all that down. And then check your intonation on the guitar. Make sure that the intonation is good, and then check your pickup height, that your volume is good in between all 3 of your pickups. And then what we're going to do is you've put strings on the guitar already, so you know if there are any tuners that are giving you a little issue, maybe need to be tightened up or anything like that. If any individual tuner has an issue, document which tuner it is and what the issue is, unless you're going to repair it. But if you're going to just leave the guitar as is and sell it as is, document each issue as you go through this setup process. Then plug the guitar in and test everything. Test each switch position and test the volume in each switch position. Test the tone in each switch position, and go through the guitar electronically one at a time, everything. Document any issues, document if it crackles a little bit in the middle position, if it crackles a little bit in the bridge position. Does the output jack work reliably? Does the tone have a little scratch in it? When you pull the coil split for the bridge pickup, is it functional? Does it make a popping noise? Any of those things. Are you going to repair any of those things before you sell the guitar? Okay, then you do that. And then document the changes that you made. If you are going to just leave the guitar as is, document each little irregularity that is less than perfect. Those are the things that I would check on the guitar. I would go from tip to tail and check every little thing. This is important because when we write our description, we want to be as transparent as possible about this. So one of the things we're going to do with our guitar now is we're going to write a description of the guitar, and we're not just going to say great shape, it's as new as possible, or whatever, it's as good as new, it's better than new, it's excellent. No. You're going to go through each individual component on the guitar as you just tested everything, and you're going to describe the condition of each individual component. Okay? And we're going to do each component separately, and then we're going to talk about the actual wood and stuff. And I would start at one end of the guitar, and I would say, this guitar has Fender Deluxe locking tuners. They are all 100% functional, and each string tunes smoothly, effectively, and the lockers work perfectly. If you have an issue with each one, document which tuner it is, how bad it is, does it need a repair, is it something that you've learned to live with, whatever. Put as much detail as you can about that. talk about the string trees, talk about the nut. At this point, document the heights of each of the measurements that you made on your nut. If you have a problem with one of them, say that there is a problem. Talk about the fret condition. There is minor fret wear. There's some minor fret wear. No, there's some minor fret wear on frets 3 to 5. The rest of the guitar is good, but there's no buzzing when we play. It's just got a little bit of minor fret wear. If anything has been repaired, if anything has been done to the guitar, document that as well. Talk about the functionality of each pickup, of each pot. Document each little scratch, each little scratchiness, each little pop. Make sure that everything works. But don't just say all the pickups work. Say the neck pickup, the middle pickup, the bridge pickup. Like, specifically address each component on the guitar. Talk about your string height. Make sure you tell them that the tremolo doesn't hang up. Go through each component on the guitar and address each one in your description. Then when it comes to the actual description of the guitar, then what you're going to want to do is write down any damage. So this guitar is basically brand new looking, like there's no scratches in it, but if there was a scratch, I would say there is a scratch right here on the lower bout. It's about 1 inch long and it's 1 inch from the output jack, and make a note of that so that you can photo that damage, and you can say that damage is documented in the photos, and be very specific. Don't just say on the bottom of the guitar there's some scratches. Don't just say there's some belt buckle rash. Like, talk about it. It's about the size of a quarter. It's not very deep. You can feel it with your fingers, but it's not all the way through the paint. Like, be as specific as possible about all of this stuff. The reason is because you're trying to oftentimes sell this to somebody that you're never going to meet. So a way to build trust with the buyer is to be very honest and very complete about every little imperfection on the guitar that you can. And you're going to say, well, then nobody's going to buy it. You might feel that way, but I'm going to buy a guitar with a scratch in it from a guy who's been or a gal who's been 100% honest about every little thing, and who has been really forthright about all of the little issues with the guitar and the functionality of all of it. And I'm going to buy from somebody who makes me have to ask the least amount of stupid questions to complete the sale. So the more detailed all of this is, the better. The next thing we need to do is we need to take photos. You do not need a big mirrorless camera with crazy lenses. You could do it with an iPhone or some kind of smartphone. We have a helicopter. But what I would do is I would take as many pictures as you can. At the beginning of this video, you saw me with the guitar outside in daylight with really good light. So many of these people will just throw the guitar on their bed, they'll throw it on their couch. The contrast color of the couch isn't very good, so you can't really see it. The picture might be a little bit blurry. It's not framed up very well. So we're gonna give you a couple of, I'm gonna show you the pictures that I took of this guitar, and we're gonna talk about what you should do. This is my opinion, but this is a way that you can kind of maintain a standard as a seller, and so that people will want to buy from you in the future. One of the things I would do is, this is a Strat. I would actually go to Fender.com and look at all the pictures that they have of their guitars on their website, and I would take all those same angles. So we have a complete picture, right? And then maybe just the body, and then zoom in, and then take just the pickups and controls. And then I would also take a close-up of the nut. I would take a close-up of the front of the peg head as well as the back of the peg head and the tuners, so that you can show the tuner condition. And then I would turn the guitar around. So I would also do the same thing. I would take a whole picture of the back. I would take a picture of just the body. I would take a picture of just the back of the peg head. And then anywhere where there could be wear. So you think about where wear happens on a guitar. It usually happens right up here in the neck here. It happens right here. It usually happens on the corners, anything sharp. Sometimes down here because you bang it on a chair. Anywhere where there could be damage normally, take a photo even if there isn't any damage. You want to just take all questions out. You want to make it to where you never have to answer a question about your listing. Is there any damage down here by right here? No, I showed you there's a picture. Now, people are still going to ask dumb questions even if the photo is there and the description is really good, because as they might be lazy and not read the whole thing. But you did your due diligence as a good seller. Those people that are that lazy probably aren't going to buy your guitar anyway. So just make sure that you're very diligent about documenting it. Take as many pictures as necessary. Do it in good light, and do it with at least a decent cell phone camera. We'll do it. But outside in the daylight is probably the thing. Now you're saying, yeah, but they're going to see every... That's the point. If you're trying to hide stuff, this video might not be for you. The idea is that if you can build trust as a seller, people will want to buy the guitar from you. Well, there you go. Hopefully this was helpful. A couple of things, just to think about. Thoroughness of listing, good photos, and do your best to check the guitar and make sure that it's good. You know what I mean? You want it to be good. And then also talk about the condition of the case, and take pictures of the same kind of concept with the case and whatever case candy it comes with, that sort of thing. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you check out our live videos on Thursday. We got crazy videos coming on Fridays. What else do we have? News, probably on Tuesday. Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.